Well, I'm Adam Gold. That's Jay Kumar. We're back after our own international break, where we had things to do and people to see and sports to talk about and meetings to have. But we didn't forget about you. We didn't forget about us. We wanted to do this last week, and it just didn't work out. Especially when we were fresh from City Arsenal. That's going to be item two. Let's start with item one. Men's national team looked great yesterday, and I think they looked like the U.S. men's national team against Germany over the weekend. So I'll let you start it. So what are your thoughts from 1-3 and then 4-0?
Um, I think the lineups matter. You saw Gio and Fuller and Balogun come into the side against Ghana. They had a little bit more time in training together after the international break. So I think they're a good team. I just think they are going to be inconsistent in their opening matches for a little while just because they don't play together that much. And so
Right.
the Germany game, that is what it is. I think there's also a mental block against some of those bigger teams for us right now that we're going to need to get through and overcome just to show that we can kind of move through that. But beating Ghana is important, and considering some of the heartbreaks we have suffered against Ghana
Yeah.
in past World Cups, it was good to see us go out there and take care of business in 12 minutes in the first half.
Yeah, it was like was all four goals in the first half?
They were. The first
Yeah.
three were in 12 minutes.
Look, my takeaway, because I mean, I watched every second of Germany. I tried to pay attention to Ghana, and obviously I like to say this about football, other American football. Who you play matters. Your schedule matters. Germany is better than Ghana, and
Sure.
obviously Germany is one of the favorites, and they're hosting the Euros, so they are priming for that. But I was actually really impressed with what the U.S. did in the first half. I mean, you could argue that it shouldn't have been 1-1. That okay, give Germany the goal, but it should have been 2-1 in favor of the US. It still the opportunities to finish in front of goal hasn't necessarily been there, but I thought at least among the forwards, and I'll put Reina in there as well. I thought Weah and Pulisic were awesome in the first half. I thought we saw a lot of good from Reina throughout the game, but I thought Pulisic and Weah were awesome in the first half. Probably should have created more. I think the biggest problem for me in the match was that in the defensive, the defensive third, there was just too much room. There was no real resistance put up. It was almost like foosball, where the guys can't move.
Yeah.
Like somebody has to be where Fulkrug is, right? Somebody has to be on that dude.
Yeah.
And so whether it's communication, missing Tyler Adams, I'm not. I love Tim Ream. I think he's a great story. I don't think he's part of.
No, he can't be. He'll be 38. I mean, I think that is he's
Well,
not part of 26. I don't think he's
I don't
part
know that
of
he's part of next summer.
yeah, I don't either. I think that the other piece, and you kind of touched on it there with Tim Ream, is the back line looked a lot different against Ghana when you bring in Chris Richards. And I thought Christopher Lund looked really good at left back. And
Yeah,
it's still Anthony Robinson's position to lose at left back. But
yeah,
I think Lund made a strong case that he should be in that team. And it's not going to be a detriment if he is. And then obviously, I thought Serginho Dest might have been the best player on the pitch last night. He was excellent. Kind
yeah,
of showed what he needed to. Now, getting 3 goals in the first 20 minutes of the game lets him be a lot more effective because he doesn't have to worry about defending. He can do his thing.
right.
And so, the other big thing, you kind of touched on it, but the team has to learn how to play without Tyler Adams. He is so important
Yeah,
to how they play, and in a big game, whatever you need to do to make sure he's ready for the big tournaments coming up, do. You know, uh, work with his club to make sure he's in fitness and form, manage his minutes. But but just make sure he is in the right situation to succeed, because they have not shown a lot without him in the side.
Yeah, I mean, he's hurt again
Yep.
with Bournemouth. I mean, I don't know how much better he makes Bournemouth, because that's a team that probably needs a lot more than than just, a number 6 who's all about defending and making sure things don't happen in front of goal. But yeah, I mean, he needs to be healthy. They don't have, and the other thing is they didn't have Malik Tillman either. And I almost feel like they're thinking that maybe he's the other option at that. I think Musa needs to be forward more. I think McKennie, I don't, McKennie wants to be forward too, but I wonder if Weston could play more of a deep lying role if they need it. But
I
he's a
I
good
don't
defender.
He's good. I don't think he can do it by himself. I think if you play him in a double pivot, you could
Yeah,
probably have him there, but he can't play him as a lone 6. And so if Greg 3G is going to be focused
triples.
on a 4-3-3, then I don't think you can play McKennie there. I think Musa and McKennie as the twin 8s makes a lot of sense. And then
Yeah,
yeah, Malik Tillman or Adams is a 6. Yeah, but without that, fortunately, he's trying to bake in a system right now, and so he's going to stick with the 4-3-3 instead of potentially retooling and giving them different looks. I think a 4-2-3-1 against Germany probably would have made more sense, where you could have had McKennie and Musa as a double pivot with Gio in front of them, Pulisic, Weah, Balogun up front, and then you have your back four. But he went with the 4-3-3. They got exposed in on a number of different spaces that those gaps, they showed they don't really play that way. And then without Adams as a 6 that can go sideline to sideline, they didn't really have anyone that could break up the play and counter press appropriately.
See, here's the thing. I think Greg Berhalter is a little too inflexible for me.
No.
uh, but against Germany, I'm glad Dest played well against Ghana. And because against Germany, I felt like there was, first of all, he's playing left, and I know normally he plays right. So maybe that had something to do with it. Joe Scally to me was okay. He wasn't bad, but I don't think he really did much.
He was kind of a turnover machine at times, but
well, okay, that's bad.
Yeah.
Dest was okay. I didn't think he was great. I think we talked about it after the World Cup that to me, that's a position where the US should try to. I mean, I'm not trying to kick Serginho Dest off the team, but they need to upgrade right back. If you're going to play a 4-3-3 and your outside backs are going to be offensive players, right?
Right.
Anthony Robinson can get up the field. I love that. And Dest, that's his best thing. But to me, he's like the American Trent Alexander-Arnold without all of the other stuff about Trent Alexander-Arnold that is so amazing. That it makes you go, okay, I'll live with it. But so I'd like to see them upgrade that position, but that doesn't mean it can't be with Serginho Dest too. Like if Dest, because he's still young, like if Dest can get better there, but a 4-2-3-1 might be really good for this team. So especially if you didn't have Adams, so you can play Musa and McKennie, and then have Reina in a perfect. I think we all agree he's a 10.
Yeah, yeah. He looked really good when he was in that slot yesterday. I mean, 2 goals, really nicely done. I mean, obviously, he was their best attacking threat. I thought he was their best player, other than Dest, who I mentioned earlier.
Right. I mean, and again, Weah and Pulisic out there. And what I was disappointed with mostly in the Germany game was Balogun was just not really involved. He had a couple of opportunities, but he just wasn't involved in the game. And I'm not blaming him because I don't know. I mean, the games are played out differently, and maybe Germany was trying to take him away. But everything was happening with the two wings, with Pulisic and Weah, and there just didn't seem to be much for Balogun to do. And maybe the fact that we can't find a 9 isn't about we can't find a 9 as much as Greg Berhalter doesn't know how to use a 9. I don't know. I don't know the answer.
I think part of it, the other team does tactics too, like you mentioned. So, like, I think Germany's midfield completely overwhelmed our midfield. And so in that game, there was no way to get service through the middle. They kind of forced us out wide. And so it was kind of a horseshoe. Whenever we had the ball, it was just going in a horseshoe pattern around the outsides, up the flanks. And so that was intentional. That way, Germany could use their size advantage in the middle and their center backs to win aerial balls and then clog the middle for us, and then they could break on the counter over top. And so I thought they executed their game plan better than we were able to impose our game onto them. And so, and again, personnel matters. I do wonder if they had a six that could break up the play a little bit more and get us started in transition, what that could have looked like. Ghana sat back a little bit. Ghana was a little bit more tentative. We had more time. We watched tape, obviously, and so they looked a little bit more, or I hope they did, but they look a little bit more well drilled, I guess, and came out with a point to prove and looked like they got it done.
All right, Jay, how do you feel about 1-0 Arsenal over City? I know for a lot of people that's a long time ago, but I thought the more deserving side won. I thought that was a just result. It could have easily finished without a goal, and I think that would have been criminal because I think Arsenal was the more aggressive team. I think they did more. They deserved the goal, and I'm glad it wasn't an own goal. It was definitely deflected, but it was going to be on goal anyway. So goal given to Martinelli, who was awesome. I didn't know he was going to play, but he hadn't played in a while. But man, good for you! Congratulations to Gunners.
Yeah, no, it was a great game. I think, watched it back during the break just to kind of see what I missed, because sometimes when you're emotionally watching a game at the pub, you can lose sight and get a little bit.
Give him a shout out. Give him a shout out.
Yeah, Bull McCabe's and Bull City Gunners. They did if you ever want to come out to a match, it's an awesome spot. But the atmosphere is great for big games out there. But watching it back, the thing that stood out to me was this is why we bought David Raya. These games, it's not for the games against Bournemouth. Aaron Ramsdale is going to get all the points that David Raya would get against everybody, but in the big games against the Liverpools, against the Cities, he gave us a +1 in possession. He gave us the ability to draw City in and then break. His passing, everyone's going to point to that first half and it was a little bit loose. It was, but come the second half, he completely transformed the game. And if you look, he would invite the City pressure on, play a clipped ball to the right wing. Jesus would get it. And that's how the goal, Partey over the top. And then I thought it was a really tactically astute move by Arteta to play Tomiyasu at false 9 for the assist. No, but he did talk about it after the game where he was like, I saw a gap once they moved Doku out to the left wing off of Tommy's side. I said, go up, attack. And he did. And we got the goal. I thought it was a professional performance from Arsenal. They let the game come to them. City's a game that you give them an inch, they'll cut you and they will take advantage. And they got their chance 4 minutes into the game and they missed it. You can't give them another one. And we didn't. 4 shots in the entire game, 2 shots after the 4th minute. No shots on target. No team has done that to City. No team does that to City. Possession was basically even 48-50, but Arsenal had 17 shots to City's 4. And that ultimately in a low-scoring game, low-probability game, it's a deflection. Yeah, it's a little bit lucky, but you make that luck by being the one turning the screw, being the one in the final third, taking advantage of possession and using your possession in the advanced areas as opposed to just in the midfield, which is where City had most of theirs.
Oh, there's no question. Just quickly to Raya. I mean, there were some what's going on moments in the first, was probably more the first 15 or 20 minutes in the entire
20 minutes.
half.
Yeah.
And for me, it's not even debatable whether or not Raya is an upgrade over Ramsdale, and Ramsdale is really good. I think. I want to say it like John Champion, Raya. think Raya's a tremendous keeper. At Brentford, though, he had never played in that game, right?
Right.
That's the difference between where Raya was and where Raya is now. That he'd never played in that game. I'll use this example. Before LeBron James got to Cleveland, Kyrie Irving had never played in a game that really mattered, ever.
Right.
Other than the 9 he played at Duke. And because of that, there's going to be some moments where it's like being on the first tee at the Ryder Cup, man. You just don't know until you've done it. So I
Yeah.
think there was some settling in for him. And yeah, the second half didn't look like the first half at all. There was none of that in the second half. The other thing about the game is that where City had their possession wasn't threatening. So
Right.
this is where sometimes possession metrics to me are like, well, who cares? I've watched matches with Liverpool pass it around, around midfield and then back to Allison and then over to Van Dijk. I'm like, all right, what are you doing? You're doing nothing with it. You have not advanced the ball at all. This was not this year. This was last year. So I'm not like the possession metrics don't get me.
Right.
I watch it sort of like I watch, well, to an extent, hockey, but I want to see you move forward. That's just to quickly go back. That's my one fear about the men's national team that looks like it's changing, that they are trying to attack more as opposed to just kind of, we have the ball, so if we have it, you can't score. I'm not crazy about that. But I love the way Arsenal really went after City, even without Rodri, De Bruyne, and Gundogan, because I don't think City's the same team this year at all. But so without Rodri, it gives you a little bit more room. And I know we're going to talk about Kovacic here in a second. But I just love the way Arsenal played it. And I thought it would have been an unjust result if it was 0-0. I'll ask the question this way. There's no way on this earth that what Curtis Jones did was worse than what Mateo Kovacic did.
No.
Not even the initial play wasn't worse. Jones was going for the ball, just went over the ball and made contact with who was it? Was it
Odegaard? Sorry. Yeah, Bissouma.
Right? He went over the ball into the shin of Bissouma. If that's a red, whatever. I can't even argue. Yellow and a half. You've called it an orange. Kovacic there was nothing. He was literally going for the leg. I don't understand how that's not red if Curtis Jones is red. And then how many minutes later? An absolute automatic yellow?
Yeah.
And I just don't understand that. I'm sorry. That's my rant.
I mean, you said it as well as I could. I watched a clip. I don't know if you saw it. Howard Webb, who's the head of the PGMOL, was on a Sky breaking it down. And he said he is very lucky to be on. And he said, sometimes in big games, the referee will get caught in the moment and under referee the match,
right,
to avoid inciting the situation, which that's not good either.
No.
That said, it's another week, another mistake in a big game that is egg on the face of the PGMOL. But as an Arsenal fan, I'm glad we beat City with 11. Not for any other reason than psychologically, it takes away a few of the built-in excuses or just confidence for the next time we play them. It's like, oh, we play them without Rodri, without KDB, and 10 men, right, and that's how we beat them. No, we beat them with 11 men. We outplayed them. We had the possession. So I think it's an important psychological factor that we played them with 11 and won. That said, it was a horrific tackle. He should have been off twice. Instead, he stays on. And, in my head, I was like, he's going to score the winner. That's how it always works. Oh my
gosh, yeah.
That would have
been tragic.
But overall, it was a really astute game. Yeah, Arsenal attacked, but they picked their spots. I think they were very controlled. And that's been an interesting wrinkle in Arsenal this year. Last year, they came out bombing, scoring in the first 10 minutes of each half a lot. Yeah. This year, they're not doing that. They're slowing the game down, and I think that's deliberate. I think they're going through the gears, starting a little bit slower, building into a game, controlling the game. really trying to make sure they have enough in the tank for the business end of the season for that run in, which has cost them 2 years in a row of their goals of top 4 and then the title last year. And so I think they're a good enough team that they can do that. And against City, it showed that they were able to play City's game of possession and kind of death by 1,000 passes. But then when it mattered, you could bring on a Martinelli and he could run at that back line and was honestly probably our second best player of the day after Declan Rice, who yet again turned in an incredible performance. I mean, one tracking back tackle that he made is just, I mean, it was poetry, just him coming back and stealing the ball, getting up, and getting the attack started. He was brilliant.
I still think, I said it when we started the season, in my opinion, when they're all healthy, I think Arsenal has the best roster. I think they're the deepest, and has nothing to do with having 2 first-class goalkeepers. I think they're the best. I think they have the best roster. There could be, look, when City is fully operational and they're Rodri, De Bruyne, Holland, right through the spine, they have the 3 best players in the world at those positions. So, and Diaz, Rodri, De Bruyne, Holland. I mean, you can't get better than that anywhere. But while I think they're awesome, I think there are more options for Arsenal when they're fully operational. I think Liverpool is close to that. So before we make picks, how do you see this race playing out? Because I see a 3-team battle. I don't think City is the same. I don't think City will do what they did last year. I think they've taken advantage of a very soft opening set of fixtures. And I think as the season wears on, no, they'll eventually they're going to get Rodri back in a match, right? One match away from coming back.
He should be back this week.
Back now.
Yeah.
They're getting Rodri back. De Bruyne is probably another 2 months away.
He'll be back in January.
So, I mean, they'll be fine. Holland has not been the same without Kevin De Bruyne. But I see not the same number of points that have won the league the last couple of years. I see it maybe low 90s, and I see 3 teams in it.
I think there are 2.5 teams in it. I still think Arsenal and City are just a notch above Liverpool, but if Liverpool's offense continues to fire the way it is, they'll stay right there. And once you kind of stay in it, then you're in it. And so I do wonder if how much they can continue to attack. Their defense they have been let off the hook a few times, just by the caliber of their opposition, in terms of I just don't trust that defense fully quite yet. And so that's the only thing that gives me pause. Their front half of the field is great. Their front 5, their back 5. I still don't think they have a true 6.
They definitely don't.
That gives me pause against bigger teams.
The biggest hole.
And then I Van Dijk is great, but he's clearly lost half a step. And then how much pressure does that put on Alisson? And so he's still great. He's still the best keeper in the world. And so I think they've got that going for him, but that's the only pause I have with Liverpool. I think they're a good team. I think they'll be top 4, no questions asked. But are they in the title race right now? They are. I don't know if it's sustainable, only because I don't know if that defense it creates, I'll put it this way. The variability between a bad performance and a good performance for Arsenal and City is much lower than a variability of a result for Liverpool right now.
Liverpool.
That's the only hesitation there. Liverpool and City and Arsenal, they may lose here and there, but it's going to be the odd goal or a red card or something like that. 11 on 11, I think they are playing in a way that creates very low probability of a blowout or just like some fluke happening. So they'll be in every game. If Liverpool don't start right, they could be down 2-3 early. And yes, they've come back from that, but you can only come back from that so many times.
They never. It seems like they fall behind almost every week. I fully expect Dominic Calvert-Lewin to score at least one early at Anfield at 7:30 Saturday morning.
Real quick, I think that Brighton Liverpool game was a perfect microcosm. Brighton and Liverpool are two very mirror images of each other. Liverpool just has a higher top end. But those are two teams that play in a very similar way. And because of the higher top end, Liverpool will avoid some of those 6-0s that Brighton will get.
Right.
But they will end up in a 2-2 that they should have won 2-0 because of it.
Yeah, I'm not. I actually think that game was. I had no problem with the.
Yeah,
I have no problem with 2-2.
Yeah.
Both teams missed opportunities to score that they should have scored. Gravenberch could have made it 3-1. By the way, that kid's going to be awesome.
He's a good player.
That kid's going to be really, really good.
He's a player I've wanted since he was at Ajax. Both him and Szoboszlai were two players that I had tracked for years, and I think they're going to be really good in that midfield. I think get a 6 in the summer, and you're cooking with gas there.
Well, I think they're going to try to get a 6. If you don't get the 6 that Liverpool wants, Andre from Fluminense.
Yeah.
I think they're going to try to get him in January. But that doesn't mean that he's going to be fully operational because he's played so much football this year already that he's going to be fully operational in for the second half of the year. They're going to try to make it work. But I think by the end of the year, I wouldn't be surprised if Gravenberch is ahead of McAllister at attacking mid. I really wouldn't. And I think they're going to just try to go with McAllister playing the 6 anyway. And Curtis Jones, there's a lot of weapons in Liverpool.
Good midfield.
Holy cow! There's a lot of
attacking midfield. The back end,
we'll see. And because to me, Endo's a squad player, but a good one.
Yeah.
But he's a squad player. All right, let's make picks. I will tell you right now that you have a 1-game lead in the standings, and I have a 650 unit lead in the dollars because I've done better in the Big Six matchups. But lately, our Big Six matchups, we're all picking the same.
Yeah.
Jack's still underwater. We won't even give his picks until later. All right. Liverpool, Everton, the Merseyside derby. By the way, have you noticed that Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp has played more than twice as many 12:30 starts coming out of an international break than anybody else. And that will happen not only Saturday, but the Saturday after the November international break when they play City.
Interesting.
And Jurgen hates
it. Yeah, I bet. And I guess it's the early kickoff. Everyone's going to have the eyes on it. But I think Liverpool at home are just going to be too much for Everton. I just don't think that that is a game that Everton can win the way they've been playing. But I will say Everton have been playing better of late, and their underlying metrics look more like a mid-table team. And so we'll see if water can find its level for them. And if they can, then they'll stay up. But right now, I'll still take Liverpool.
I have Liverpool as well. I don't know why I just wrote down Everton for you. But I agree. I actually think I'm not concerned. I think Everton's going to stay up comfortably. I think they're going to take advantage of the bottom of the table enough times to compile points. City Brighton, which I mean, this could be a blast. I think it probably will be a blast. I'm thinking we're going to see some goals here. I'll go for you. Always give you give your pick first. I'll go City, but whatever the over is, I think I'd take it.
I would not. I'm going to take City in a blowout. I don't think City coming off of back-to-back losses and Pep with 2 weeks and Rodri back is a team you want to face. I think they are going to be at home, ready to go, and I think City win this pretty comfortably.
All right, we have.
You may take the over, but it might be because City score the over.
Oh, I think that Brighton's going to give up goals now.
Yeah.
So Erling Haaland is not City's best player. It might be Julian Alvarez right now. Palace at St. James Park against Newcastle. Who you got?
Newcastle. I think they've kind of found something. They're the league's top scoring team, and I think they will continue to do so and beat Palace at home.
This is probably suicide. I've got to draw. City grounds, Nottingham Forest hosting Luton Town. I'm going to take Nottingham. I think they kind of do what they need to do against the teams they need to do it. and Iwoni is going to score.
Yeah, probably.
That's a given.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Nottingham at home, Luton getting an away point would be huge. I just don't see them doing that. So, Nottingham Forest it is.
All right. I actually wrote down draw for me, but I said Nottingham, so I'm changing it on my sheet. I should probably pay attention to what I've picked. Burnley at Brentford.
I think Brentford at home will kind of take care of business here, and unfortunately I just don't think Burnley has shown that they are good enough at this level. And I take it back. I forgot Luton won at Everton, so they have gotten an away point. They got 3 of them last a couple weeks ago. But Brentford against Burnley, I'll take them at home.
Yeah, but I think you and I both agree that Brentford might be in some trouble, right?
They will be
one match.
I think they will be in trouble next year. They would have been in trouble this year if it wasn't for Burnley, Luton, Bournemouth, and Sheffield.
Right. I think I'm gonna take a draw there.
Right.
I think Brentford is in real trouble.
Yeah.
And they have just not looked the same. I don't know. I thought they were good. They got the goal, and then they tried to beat United 1-0. Everybody sat back. What were they doing? So I'm a little concerned about Brentford. I'll take a draw there.
I think Brentford played the badge, not the team, when they got to Old Trafford,
maybe.
which happens sometimes at Old Trafford.
I mean, Scott McTominay just came on and owned you. Bournemouth hosting Wolves.
Wolves. I think they've played really well. I like Pedro Neto. He's a transfer target in January, so we'll see.
Everybody.
Yep.
For everybody. He has been one of the best players, I think, in the first 8 match weeks of the season. I am taking a draw here, though, just because. All right, here is our double. Arsenal-Chelsea. There's not a breath of me that is going to root for Chelsea, so I'm going to be emotional here and take Arsenal at Stamford Bridge.
Since 2017, Chelsea have only beaten Arsenal once at Stamford Bridge.
Really?
Taking Arsenal. The last 3 results have been 4-2, 1-0, 1-0, 2-2. 3-2 was their one win in August of 2018. And then a 0-0 draw in 2017. But 2018 was the only home win that they have had against Arsenal at the Bridge. They've won twice at the Emirates in that span. But I think Arsenal continue the trend and beat Chelsea at the Bridge.
All right. Manchester United at Sheffield United. I could just hedge and say I'll take United. I don't really have a lot of faith in Man U, but I think they're going to win the match. So I'll take United at Sheffield, but I wouldn't be shocked at all, even if United lost.
I mean, yeah, you can't put anything by them, but yeah, I have absolutely zero faith in Sheffield. So I will take United as well. I will not pick Sheffield again this season.
All right, we have, excuse me, I'm going to cough. West Ham at Villa Park.
This is going to be a good game, but I think it'll be a draw. I think these are 2 teams that will get confused by each other's kits, and it'll be a 2-2.
I like all the white away kits that we have seen this year.
Yeah.
Right? City comes out in all white. I think West Ham has come out in all white. I'm an all white guy. I love what the Dolphins wore against the Panthers the other day. I think that's one of the best looks in all of football. All right, Tottenham, Fulham. I don't know.
What'd you have in that game?
Oh, I have a draw too. I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I have a draw. Tottenham, Fulham. Here's what I did not know. We have to close on this. I did not know that Tottenham considers themselves the Jewish club.
Yeah. So historically, back in the 70s, 80s, and beyond that, there was a term for a slang term for Jewish individuals that was used, and then the Tottenham fan base adopted it as their own.
Right.
And so it became the the Jewish supporters club for
Oh no.
a while, and then so they've always had that little bit through line in their identity. And
Why do I dislike them so much?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe because I'm a closet Gunners fan. I don't know.
There you go.
But they do have Manor Solomon. So I think it'll be an emotional game for him and for them if they take that to heart. Daniel Levy is also Jewish,
Right.
so they've had Jewish ownership in the past. That's
Yes.
part of why this whole thing is. But I read about it and I had no idea. But ultimately, I'm taking Tottenham because I just don't think Fulham's going to score.
I think that I really think Tottenham will probably win this game, but for whatever reason, I've got a hunch that it's going to be a draw.
Okay. I like
I
it.
think that Fulham. The problem is Fulham will give up goals, and Tottenham will take advantage of that. But I don't know. I just have this weird feeling. I take a draw here.
All right. I like it. I liked the fact that we did this in relatively efficient 36 minutes. That's
There
Jake
you
Kumar. We try to do this every week.
10
Unless we're on
o'clock a.m. or p.m. But
that's my time. It's the only thing I can set it for.
Yeah.
It's 10 o'clock. It's stuck.
All
Stop
right.
is right twice a day. That's Jay. I'm Adam. We will see everybody next week. Good luck.
All right. Have a good one.